formaldehyde releasers, endocrine-disrupting fragrances, and a surfactant used to degrease engines, all found in face wash. Brands Americans have trusted for decades. But squeeze the wrong bottle, and what you're rubbing into your skin twice a day is a mix of allergens and preservatives releasing a known carcinogen directly into your pores. If you've been using the same brand for 10, 20, 30 years, it's all been absorbing into your skin. I'm counting down 10 to throw out an 8 that earned your trust, based on EWG Skin Deep ratings, Valisure lab reports, and federal lawsuits. Starting with the cheapest bottle on the shelf. Number 10. Bioré Deep Pore Charcoal Cleanser. Bioré has been selling charcoal-based face washes in the United States since Kao Corporation brought the Japanese brand stateside in the early 1990s. The charcoal angle sounds clean, natural even. But flip the bottle over, and the second ingredient listed is sodium lauryl sulfate. SLS is the same industrial surfactant used to degrease engines and clean factory floors. The European Union recommends keeping SLS below 1% in skincare to avoid barrier damage. Bioré does not disclose its concentration. Studies published in the International Journal of Toxicology have shown SLS disrupts the skin's lipid barrier, strips natural oils, and increases transepidermal water loss with repeated use. Your skin gets drier, your pores work harder to compensate, and the cycle of overwashing gets worse. Then there is the fragrance. Bioré lists parfum on the label, which under FDA rules can mean any combination of dozens of undisclosed chemicals, including known allergens and potential endocrine disruptors. A 2021 study by the Green Science Policy Institute tested hundreds of cosmetics and found undisclosed fragrance compounds across major drugstore brands. You see the word charcoal and think detox. Your skin sees SLS and synthetic fragrance and pays the price twice a day. That was a surfactant problem. But surfactants are not the only thing hiding in your face wash aisle. Number 9. Garnier Skin Active Gel Wash. Garnier launched in France in 1904, and the Skin Active line has been a drugstore staple in America for over a decade. Pick up the gel wash and it looks straightforward. The ingredient list tells a different story. Sodium lauryl sulfate sits near the top, another aggressive sulfate surfactant. Below that, parfum, again, hiding an unknown number of fragrance chemicals. And farther down the label, 3 EU-listed allergens appear by name: limonene, benzyl salicylate, and linalool. The EU cosmetics regulation requires brands to list individual fragrance allergens whenever they exceed certain concentration thresholds. These 3 are among the most common triggers for allergic contact dermatitis, which is a clinical term for the red, itchy, inflamed skin your doctor calls a rash. In the United States, the FDA does not require this same disclosure. Garnier lists them voluntarily on some products, which is unusual and quietly confirms what the label would otherwise hide. You are paying about $7 for a face wash that contains the same stripping surfactant as the last brand, plus 3 named allergens that the European Union forces them to disclose. Your skin registers that even if you do not. So what happens when a brand does not bother disclosing any of those allergens at all? Number 8. Noxzema Classic Clean Moisturizing Cream. Noxzema has been on American bathroom shelves since 1914. Your grandmother probably used it. Her mother might have too. The blue jar is practically a family heirloom. But open the lid, and what you are putting on your face is a cocktail of menthol, camphor, eucalyptus oil, and synthetic fragrance, all layered on top of stearic acid and other heavy emollients. Menthol and camphor create a tingling sensation that feels like the product is working. Dermatologists have a different word for that sensation: irritation. A 2019 review published in the Journal of Clinical and Aesthetic Dermatology found that menthol and camphor can disrupt the skin barrier and increase sensitivity over time, particularly in aging skin where the barrier is already thinning naturally. That cooling tingle is your skin reacting to a chemical irritant, not repairing itself. And the fragrance load in Noxzema is heavy. Multiple synthetic compounds, none of them individually identified on the label. For a brand that has built over a century of trust on the idea that it is medicating your skin, what it is actually doing is masking irritation with a sensation. If the tingling stopped, you might notice the damage underneath. If this investigation is already changing what you reach for in the morning, Take 2 seconds and hit like and subscribe. There are 7 more brands to throw out and 8 that actually passed. You will want to see which ones. Number 7. Mary Kay Timewise Cleanser. Mary Kay launched in Dallas in 1963, and the Timewise line became one of the company's best sellers by the 1990s. It is sold through independent consultants, often by women you know personally. That personal connection makes it harder to question what is in the bottle. Momovation, a consumer watchdog organization, tested dozens of face washes in a 2024 investigation and flagged Mary Kay Timewise for petroleum-derived ingredients, parabens including methylparaben and propylparaben, undisclosed fragrance, and harsh preservatives. Parabens have been detected in human breast tissue, confirmed in a 2004 study in the Journal of Applied Toxicology by researcher Philippa Darbry at the University of Reading. That study did not prove parabens cause cancer, but it raised a question nobody has conclusively answered in 2 decades. The European Union has restricted certain parabens in cosmetics. The United States has not. Mary Kay still uses them. And because the product is sold person to person, most buyers never flip the bottle over. You trust the woman selling it. The ingredients do not return the favor. That trust is worth examining. But so is what a corporation earning over $80 billion a year puts inside a budget cleanser. Number 6. Olay. Total Effects Cleanser. Olay started as Oil of Olay in 1952 in South Africa and became one of the biggest skincare brands on earth. Procter & Gamble bought it in 1985, and by the early 2000s, the Total Effects line was a fixture in American medicine cabinets. It promised 7 benefits in one bottle. The ingredient list delivers a few things it does not advertise. Momovation's 2024 investigation flagged the Olay Total Effects Cleansing Whip for undisclosed fragrance and harsh preservatives. The word parfum appears on the label, which could represent dozens of chemicals the FDA does not require Procter & Gamble to identify individually. When a company earning over $80 billion a year chooses not to disclose what goes into a fragrance blend, that is not an oversight. That is a business decision. Some of Olay's newer cleansers, like the niacinamide line, have moved towards sulfate-free, paraben-free formulations. That shift is worth acknowledging. But the Total Effects cleanser you may have been buying since 2007 has not made that same move. Same bottle, same shelf, same unlisted ingredients. If the company knew how to formulate a cleaner product, the question is why this one never got the same treatment. One of the oldest names in drugstore skincare made a similar promise to consumers and broke it in a different way. Number 5. Clean and Clear Essentials Foaming Cleanser. Clean and Clear launched under Johnson & Johnson in 1957 and has been marketed primarily to teenagers ever since. It is often the first face wash a young person buys. What you start using at 15 tends to stay in your routine for decades. The Essentials Foaming Cleanser contains sodium lauryl sulfate as a primary surfactant and lists fragrance without specifying what that fragrance is. Johnson & Johnson is no stranger to ingredient controversies. The company paid over $700 million in 2018 to settle claims that its talcum powder contained asbestos, and in 2023 proposed a nearly $9 billion settlement for talc-related cancer lawsuits. That does not mean their face wash contains asbestos. It means the company has a documented record of selling products while minimizing public discussion of what is inside them. Clean and Clear also includes Blue One, an artificial dye, in some formulations. It has no skincare function. It exists to make the product look appealing in the bottle. You are rubbing a cosmetic dye onto your face twice a day for no reason beyond packaging aesthetics. That brand sits under a pharmaceutical giant. Another sits right beside it on the shelf, and the ingredient problem runs deeper. Number 4. Neutrogena Oil-Free Acne Wash. Neutrogena was founded in 1930 and acquired by Johnson & Johnson in 1994. The oil-free acne wash has been one of the top-selling face washes in America for over 2 decades. It contains salicylic acid, which is an effective and well-studied acne treatment. But it also contains sodium lauryl sulfate, and in certain variations, benzoyl peroxide. That benzoyl peroxide is the ingredient that changed everything. In March 2024, the independent laboratory Valisure published a report showing that benzoyl peroxide degrades into benzene, a Group 1 carcinogen classified by the International Agency for Research on Cancer. Benzene forms at body temperature. The product does not need to sit in a hot warehouse to become dangerous. It can break down while sitting on your skin. The FDA tested 95 benzoyl peroxide products after the Valisure report and found that more than 90% had undetectable or very low levels of benzene. But 6 products showed elevated levels and were voluntarily recalled. Neutrogena's standard salicylic acid wash was not named in those recalls. But the broader message is that Johnson & Johnson sold benzoyl peroxide face washes for years, without publicly testing for a degradation product that an independent lab found in a matter of weeks. Number 3 sat on the same store shelf for decades. The damage it does requires no chemistry at all. Number 3. St. Ives Apricot Scrub. St. Ives launched the Apricot Scrub in 1985, and it became one of the best-selling exfoliating face washes in America. Cheap, familiar, and promising smooth skin. The active exfoliant is crushed walnut shell. In 2016, 2 consumers filed a $5 million class action against Unilever, St. Ives' parent company, alleging that walnut shells create microscopic tears in facial skin. A New York dermatologist quoted in the case compared the product to sandpaper on your face. The suit alleged St. Ives labels the product dermatologist tested, without disclosing that dermatologists do not recommend it. The case was dismissed in 2020 after a federal judge found insufficient evidence of specific harm. But the dermatological community's position has not changed. Dr. Adam Friedman at George Washington University told NBC that physical scrubs with nutshells disrupt the skin barrier and allow bacteria to enter. Dr. Apple Bodemer at the University of Wisconsin said she does not feel anyone needs an exfoliating scrub at all. A dismissed lawsuit does not mean a product is safe. It means the legal bar for proving harm is high. Walnut shells cause damage you can feel, but what Clearasil sells is invisible and potentially far worse. Number 2. Clearasil Rapid Rescue Deep Treatment Wash. Clearasil has been fighting acne since 1950 and has sold billions of dollars worth of product worldwide. The Rapid Rescue line is their current flagship, and it contains benzoyl peroxide, the same ingredient that triggered the Valisure investigation in 2024. Here is where the numbers get serious. Valisure tested dozens of benzoyl peroxide products and found that benzene forms when the active ingredient degrades at relatively low temperatures, including body temperature at 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. The FDA limit for benzene in pharmaceuticals is 2 parts per million. Some products in the Valisure report exceeded that limit by a factor of hundreds. Clearasil was named directly in the 2024 class action lawsuits filed by the law firm Wisner Baum, alongside Proactiv, Target's Up and Up brand, and others. As of 2025, 6 class action lawsuits against L'Oreal's CeraVe benzoyl peroxide products were consolidated in the Southern District of New York. Clearasil's parent company, Reckitt Benckiser, faces parallel legal scrutiny. The lawsuits allege that manufacturers knew or should have known about benzene degradation and failed to warn consumers. Clearasil has been sold to teenagers for over 70 years. It sits in dorm rooms and high school bathrooms right now. The brand that promised to clear your skin may have been putting a classified carcinogen on it instead. Number 1. Proactiv Solution Renewing Cleanser. Proactiv launched in 1995 through television infomercials and became the most famous acne brand in America. Celebrity endorsements from Jessica Simpson to Katy Perry drove billions in sales. By the 2010s, Proactiv was available in shopping malls, online, and in vending machines at airports. It was everywhere. Then Valisure tested it. In their March 2024 report, the independent laboratory found benzene in Proactiv products at concentrations reaching 1,700 parts per million. The FDA allows 2 parts per million. That is over 800 times the federal safety limit for a substance the World Health Organization classifies as a known human carcinogen linked to leukemia, lymphoma, and bone marrow failure. Valisure filed a citizen's petition with the FDA, demanding an immediate recall of benzoyl peroxide products. The law firm Wisner Baum filed nearly a dozen class action lawsuits in 2024 in state and federal courts on behalf of consumers who used Proactiv believing it was safe. As of mid-2025, no recall had been issued. You could have used this product as a teenager, continued through your 20s and 30s, and applied it to your child's face when they hit puberty. 3 generations of the same family, the same bottle, 1,700 parts per million of a known carcinogen, and not a single warning on the label. That is the list of what to throw out. But this investigation did not only find problems. 8 brands passed every test I could find, and if you need a replacement, they start here. Number 8. Dove Sensitive Skin Beauty Bar. Dove has been making its beauty bar since 1957, and the sensitive skin version has been a quiet pharmacy staple for decades. It is not technically a soap. Dove uses synthetic surfactants instead of traditional soap bases, giving it a lower pH closer to your skin's natural level of around 5.5. The sensitive skin version contains no fragrance, no parabens, and no harsh preservatives. Its primary cleansing agents are sodium lauryl isethionate and sodium stearate, both considered mild by the European Commission's Scientific Committee on Consumer Safety. It scores low hazard on EWG Skin Deep. Dove is owned by Unilever, the same company that makes St. Ives Apricot Scrub. Same parent corporation, completely different ingredient philosophy. They do not make one kind of product. They make whatever sells at each price point. At one price, a crushed walnut shell scrub with no dermatologist backing. At another, a fragrance-free bar that dermatologists hand out in their offices. This is not loyalty to Unilever. It is reading the label every time and deciding which product the company bothered to make well. Fragrance is one of the easiest things to remove from a formula. One brand built its entire identity around leaving it out from the start. Number 7. Aveeno Calm and Restore Oat Cleanser. Aveeno started in 1945 when 2 brothers, Albert and Sidney Musher, began selling colloidal oatmeal as a skin treatment. Oats have been used to soothe inflamed skin for centuries. The FDA recognized colloidal oatmeal as a skin protectant in 2003, granting it official drug status for treating eczema, rashes, and irritation. The Calm and Restore Oat Cleanser leans into that heritage. It is fragrance-free, sulfate-free, paraben-free, and uses oat as its featured ingredient alongside glycerin and a mild plant-derived surfactant. No SLS, no SLES, no synthetic fragrance hiding behind the word parfum. The ingredient list is short enough that you can read every line and understand what each one does. Aveeno is owned by Johnson & Johnson, the same company behind Clean and Clear and Neutrogena. And once again, the same corporation sells a foaming acne wash loaded with sulfates and fragrance under one name, and a gentle oat cleanser free of both under another. The ingredients in your product depend on which brand manager wrote the brief, not on some company-wide commitment to safety. So what happens when a brand outside the major conglomerates starts with clean ingredients as a founding principle, not a product line extension? Number 6. Burt's Bees Sensitive Facial Cleanser. Burt's Bees started in 1984 when Burt Shavitz and Roxanne Quimby began selling beeswax candles from a roadside stand in Maine. The company grew into one of the first mainstream natural beauty brands in America, and Clorox acquired it in 2007 for just under $1 billion. The sensitive facial cleanser uses cotton extract and aloe as its primary soothing agents, paired with mild cleansing compounds and no synthetic fragrance. It scores low hazard on EWG Skin Deep and contains no formaldehyde releasers, no parabens, and no SLS. The formula is defined as much by what it leaves out as by what it puts in. The word natural on a label means nothing legally. The FDA has no official definition, but Burt's Bees publishes full ingredient lists on their website and submits products for third-party review. That transparency is still uncommon in the face wash aisle. Is this the most sophisticated cleanser on the market? No. It is gentle, simple, and free of the ingredients that put the first 10 brands on the avoid list. For something you can find at any drugstore in America, that combination is harder to match than you would expect. 4 letters on a label separated one European pharmacy brand from nearly every cleanser on the avoid list. And those 4 letters are worth checking on your own products. Number 5. Eucerin Advanced Cleansing Body and Face Wash. Eucerin was founded in Hamburg, Germany in 1900 by pharmacist Oskar Troplowitz. The brand has operated under Bayersdorf AG for over a century and was a pharmacy staple across Europe long before it became widely available in the United States. The Advanced Cleansing Body and Face Wash uses a soap-free formula with gentle surfactants and no added fragrance. No parabens, no SLS, and no formaldehyde releasers. It was developed with dermatologists and carries a low hazard score on EWG Skin Deep. What separates Eucerin from most American drugstore brands is where it comes from. European cosmetics regulation is significantly stricter than the FDA's. The EU has banned or restricted over 1,400 ingredients in personal care products. The United States has restricted approximately 11. A product formulated to meet European standards starts with a much shorter list of allowable chemicals. Eucerin's formulations clear that higher bar, even when sold in markets where nobody is checking. You do not need to understand chemistry. You just need to know that the country where your face wash was formulated often tells you more than the label on the front. The next brand on this list was born in a small French town built around a volcanic spring, and the water itself is part of the formula. Number 4. First Aid Beauty Pure Skin Face Cleanser. First Aid Beauty launched in 2009, which makes it a newcomer compared to the century-old brands on this list. But what it lacks in heritage, it makes up for in formulation transparency. The Pure Skin Face Cleanser was designed for reactive and sensitive skin, and it has become a staple at Ulta and Sephora for people who tried everything else and paid for it. The formula includes aloe vera, allantoin, and white tea extract. No sulfates, no parabens, no artificial fragrance, and no artificial colorants. It is pH balanced to match healthy skin at around 5.5. Many conventional cleansers push that pH toward 8 or 9, alkaline enough to weaken the lipid barrier and invite irritation. First Aid Beauty publishes full ingredient lists and avoids every major category of concern, from formaldehyde releasers to phthalates to mineral oil. It is not marketed toward older consumers specifically. But the people who benefit most from a gentle, transparent formula are the ones whose skin has spent decades accumulating exposure to the products on the first half of this list. Every ingredient on this label has a function. That is rarer than you think. But the brand at number 3 earned its reputation by doing something different entirely. Number 3. CeraVe Hydrating Facial Cleanser. CeraVe was developed in 2005 by dermatologists working with academic researchers. The brand's founding principle was to build products around ceramides, the lipid molecules that make up roughly half of your skin's natural barrier. L'Oreal acquired CeraVe in 2017 for around $13 billion, which tells you how valuable a reputation for clean ingredients has become. The hydrating facial cleanser contains ceramides, hyaluronic acid, and glycerin. No sulfates, no fragrance, no parabens, and no formaldehyde releasers. It is one of the most widely recommended face washes among board-certified dermatologists in the United States and scores low hazard on EWG Skin Deep. Now, CeraVe does make benzoyl peroxide acne products, and those are the formulations caught up in the benzene lawsuits. The hydrating facial cleanser is a completely different formula. No benzoyl peroxide, no active drug ingredient, just ceramides and gentle cleansers designed to support the skin barrier rather than strip it. The distinction matters because L'Oreal sells both products under the same brand name. One is facing 6 consolidated lawsuits in the Southern District of New York. The other is what dermatologists keep recommending to their patients. Same name on the bottle, entirely different risk profiles. Number 2. La Roche-Posay Tolerion Hydrating Gentle Cleanser. La Roche-Posay was founded in 1975 in a small town in central France built around a thermal spring. The water from that spring has been used to treat skin conditions since the 14th century. Today, the brand is owned by L'Oreal and operates a research center adjacent to the spring itself. The Tolerion Hydrating Gentle Cleanser contains 15 ingredients. Among them are ceramides, niacinamide, glycerin, and La Roche-Posay's prebiotic thermal water. No fragrance, no sulfates, no parabens, no formaldehyde releasers, no artificial colorants. You can read the full list standing in a pharmacy aisle and understand every line. La Roche-Posay also meets the stricter European regulations that ban or restrict over 1,400 cosmetic ingredients. The product carries no allergen warnings under EU labeling rules, meaning it passed a standard most American drugstore brands never face. At around $15 a bottle, it costs more than most products on the avoid list. That difference is the cost of leaving out the cheap fillers, synthetic fragrances, and harsh surfactants that make lower-priced face washes profitable. You are not paying more for what is in the product. You are paying for what is missing. What would it look like if a brand removed absolutely everything that was not strictly necessary? Number 1. Vanicream. Gentle Facial Cleanser. Vanicream has been recommended by dermatologists for over 50 years. The brand was created by Pharmaceutical Specialties, Inc., a small company in Rochester, Minnesota, just a few miles from the Mayo Clinic. It was designed from the beginning to contain nothing that could irritate sensitive or reactive skin, not formulated for sensitive skin as a marketing claim, actually built by eliminating every known irritant, one ingredient at a time. The Gentle Facial Cleanser contains 12 ingredients. No sulfates, no fragrance, no masking fragrance, no parabens, no formaldehyde releasers, no dyes, no lanolin, no botanical extracts, and no betaine. The National Eczema Association awarded it their seal of acceptance. IQVIA data from 2023 ranked Vanicream the #1 dermatologist-recommended sensitive skin brand in the United States. EWG Skin Deep rates it low hazard. This is not a glamorous product. The packaging is plain. The pump bottle looks clinical. There are no celebrities in the advertising because there is no advertising to speak of. Dermatologists recommend it by name, in person, in exam rooms, to patients whose skin has been damaged by the products on the other half of this list. When everything else irritates, this is what they reach for. 12 ingredients, 50 years, and not a single one that needs an explanation. The benzene in Proactiv was not there when your teenager used it in 1998. Formulas change quietly, and what passes today can be reformulated by next quarter without a single announcement. The label report tracks every verdict from every video, rechecks them monthly, and flags recalls before your next trip to the store. Scan the code on screen or use the first link below. $10 a month, cancel anytime. Go annual and 5 months are free. Just want the method? Both guides are $15, one time. Same link.